I mean, we'll probably not talk too much about how terrible the Uber experience is in Rome.
You mean every single time that you tried to get one in an actual time of traffic? Oh, wait a second. There is no non-busy time for traffic in Rome.
No, it's always high traffic in Rome, apparently.
Uber fails like half a dozen times.
It's not fails. It's like literally the driver cancels. It's like he's halfway here. There was one where he was like 2 blocks away, and then he canceled.
Only a block. He was on the corner, and he turned right instead of left.
It's almost like when they told us, "Hey, how should you get around in Rome?" They said, "Oh, always go with a taxi and use the only white taxis and things like that." It's almost like they knew that Uber doesn't work.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, regular Uber doesn't. I had using the expensive Uber Black, but I figured, it's Uber. I have such great experiences with Uber.
We could have just limed the conference, scootering to the conference.
Yeah. at half a euro a minute, and we're going to be paying $80 a piece just to make it.
Was it €0.50 a minute?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
You can rent them for blocks.
That sucks.
You can rent them for a block of time.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they go by distance, something like that.
I don't know how long would it take us though to scooter all the way. Well, the problem would be the battery would die.
The battery would die.
Yeah. That would be
anyway, Dave, would you like to take us in, or should we just keep?
We could just riff the whole time.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, that was it. That was the podcast.
Oh, wait, is that the intro music?
Hello, and welcome to the Machine Intelligence Foundation for Rights and Ethics podcast. I am Dave. Today, one of his rare appearances with us, we have Toby, and Mike is here as well. So all three of us are together, recorded live from Rome, Italy, where we've just attended now everybody was pronouncing it CEPE. Apparently, that's the way you do it. It's the CEPE, Computer Ethics Philosophical Inquiries 2025 conference, which we have just completed this morning.
Not just completed. Hey, we presented this morning. We didn't just attend. We presented. We presented our own thing. I was going to say presented our own presentation, but that's just we had our own presentation.
We had our own presentation. We were the first up on the last day of the conference, the morning after. A whole bunch of philosophers got slightly tipsy at dinner.
And after dinner, on the bus.
Toby took the late bus and had stories to tell, but we won't share too many stories. Those are the stories of the tipsy philosophers. That sounds like a conundrum.
Tipsy philosopher?
Tipsy, the trolley problem, the tipsy philosopher.
Ooh, I thought it sounded like a very interesting club, the Tipsy Philosopher Club. But I like the Tipsy Philosopher problem even better.
Yeah, I was trying to think, okay, is that a rock band name or something like
the
that?
Tipsy Philosopher.
But
that'd be like
that's a slow jazz name. It doesn't work.
Or
Irish.
Or like some sort of experimental band.
I'm going with the Gaelic pug band, the Tipsy Philosophers.
Yeah, that could
work.
work.
I can see that.
That could work.
So yeah, it was an experience. I warned these guys. There is no experience quite so heady as an entire conference full of philosophers.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yes, no. I mean, I could grasp the concepts, except that being that we are in Rome, which means we're in Italy, which means we're in Europe, which means that we have a lot more people coming in from more of a European perspective here. So sometimes the language barriers were a little tough. I mean, the whole thing was presented in English. Great. I mean, as an English speaker, that was good for me. But because that means I didn't have to learn Italian, try as I might have for the last 6 months to learn Italian, nothing stuck.
Sto bene.
And ciao bella.
Stanco. I remember stanco. I'm tired. I'm very tired after
Is it stanco or stanca?
Stanco, because it's masculine, right? It depends upon how you're using it.
It's an adjective.
I don't. See, this is the problem. I nothing sticks, right?
Yeah, English with its completely gender-free words is totally spoiled us.
Anyway, so there was a little bit of language barrier as you had other people who English was not their native language. I very much appreciate the fact that they did present in English, but some of their stuff was so dense, and with the language accents and or speed differences, wow, some of it was hard to digest. But the whole thing, overall, great experience. It was a good experience. I wouldn't necessarily say it was so heady as much as, that's a concept that we haven't quite integrated into some of our own concepts, and so that was good. I mean, we saw a lot of that.
I'll admit that having gone to the one 2 years ago in Chicago, I did pull some things out of that I then brought into our conversation. I think it certainly made what we had to present a lot richer.
I think some interesting concepts on agency were there, and that I would actually kind of like to just digest a little bit before I say, yes, I want to integrate that. I'm not quite certain yet.
Sure, I get that.
There were some good concepts.
So, Mike, what was your favorite moment?
What was my favorite moment? The moment that I could say that we were done and I was ready to head back, because it's been days of low sleep, and I know that Dave has been Dave doesn't stress about anything. So Dave doesn't stress about the presentation.
He did pace a lot.
But he does, it's that, okay, am I there? Am I there? Am I there? Am I ready? Okay, I've done it. I'm done. So I could tell that there was definitely a weight off of you once the presentation was done.
That's true. Yeah, stress, I let's put it this way, Mike. I handle stress differently than you do.
I pace pathways in the floor or holes in my shoes.
I was anxious.
Yeah.
What was your favorite moment, Dave?
That is a very good question. As soon as you asked Mike, I tried to figure it out and could not come up with anything. Honestly, I mean, this is a very selfish thing. I was really pleased that Keith Miller, the president of Insight, who was one of the sponsors, he seemed to be really appreciative and accepting and enjoyed the presentation. And, it made the work we put into it feel worth it.
I mean, hats off to Toby. I mean, we put Toby up.
He earned his €2.
We put Toby up as the face of the Machine Intelligence Foundation for Rights and Ethics, the face of MIFRE, and just said, okay, Toby, this is your time. Go out there, make contacts, and
you'll pay me €2.
Well, okay.
Every day.
The joke started is, okay, we're gonna have to double what we pay him, and it's like, well, wait a second. We don't pay him anything. So it ended up just being the joke that, hey, we're going to pay you €2 for this, and then it just became a joke of, hey, if I get this one person to do something or to contact this one person, will you give me another €2? And I think we ended up on €6, right? I'm sure it's more than that. To be fair, you made contacts with so many people there. And good contacts and people that were interested in what we had to say. And so, oh my gosh, my hat is off to you. I am the person that would have just sat on the wall and sat in the background and not said a thing to anybody except when somebody came to me and said, well, what are you doing? And I'd kind of fumble over it. And the few times, there was at least one time today, specifically, after everything was done, and it's like, well, what exactly are you doing? And Toby, you just looked at me and said, Mike, nope, it's your turn, go.
That's right. And you did very well. Like, you really engage them well and explain, the vision for what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So I can tell you my favorite part. I have two favorite parts. Part number one was when I earned €4 by getting Antonio Maturano to take a picture with the three of us.
Oh, that was
Mike
fun,
said,
yes.
Get the picture taken. We just didn't get the MIFRE pin on him. Oh, we should have gotten the pin.
Well, I mean, the story around that is, okay, so we're at the kind of, not the end of the conference, because, our presentation is first thing next morning, but the major social dinner, which is one of the reasons why we have, the tipsy philosophers. But
And why everyone stays in the last day of the event.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Generally.
But so the main, is he the architect of this presentation, of this conference?
He's the host.
He's the host. So he's the host. And so we were joking about the €2 thing and Toby making contacts and stuff like that. And I don't even remember how it came about, okay.
You said, I will give you €2 more if you get a selfie with Arturo Maturan.
Well, you said, how can I make, who should I make contact? What do you want me to do for another €2? And I said, I just...
You were so kind. There were so many things you could have had me done, and that was the least difficult.
Well, the fact is, I was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What is the thing that I probably wouldn't be able to do right off the bat? And I said, well, okay, so go get this selfie. Get a selfie, and we could all get the selfie with it. And literally, he's sitting behind, just like 10 feet from us, and it's like, oh, well, he's right there. Toby just grabs my phone and says, "Here, come on," and you just go over and you just kind of tap him on the arm and say, "Photo," and he gets up, and it's just like, it's like. It was like the celebrities, that you go and ask for a selfie from a celebrity or something like that.
I did a little bit more than tap him on the arm. I did lead him to the photo.
Yeah, you did. But it's just he's looking a little confused, and why are they taking a selfie? Why do they want a selfie with me? I mean, he's a philosopher, but
not used to the celebrity. Those philosophers. That's true.
No. So that was the funny one, but truly for me the most outstanding moment was the conversations we had with people trying to explain exactly what it is we are doing. And in this case, we're talking to people who are theoretical, academic, sometimes applied, but they live and exist in that realm. So they don't really think about, they aren't required to think about the physical impacts of what they do in the real world all around them, right? They have a special place, a safe space where they can think as much as they want.
The proverbial ivory tower.
Yes. And so being forced to explain what it is we're trying to do to these people really helped to crystallize some of the language that we use.
I'll admit that, and I first experienced this 2 years ago when, kind of like Mike, I mostly just waited for people to approach me, and then I would talk about what they had talked about, and then they'd say, "Why are you here?" And to explain. Almost universally, the response is pretty positive. People are just like, you get that look on their face like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense."
They start with that true believer look, like, "Are you a true believer? What are you trying to sell me?" And then
it's, yeah. And that's why I pushed for us to do this year was, or at least suggested. I think we all kind of pushed together, but
we've been pushing for the last couple of years that really we need to get a presentation out. We need to get to make some contacts with the
and this was the perfect opportunity. Yeah. But every time I tell somebody, their next response is, "Are you presenting?"
Yes.
I'm like, "I guess we should be." So here we are. But again, it's that experience of speaking with and talking with philosophers is they're pretty universally open to new and interesting ideas. And it's a great place to be a little bit off the wall.
But their language is so specific and technical, the way they use language when speaking to each other. And it was good to be forced to be very determined, be very precise about the language we were using, so that we didn't use a term that they have some technical definition for, that we may infer some meaning, but now we have to make sure that we are communicating the meaning precisely.
Right.
That was good discipline for us.
But again, when they correct you, it's always with compassion and
enthusiasm.
Yeah, it is. There is some enthusiasm. Well, a lot of them are professors, so they're more than happy to correct you. But it's always in a positive way.
So after some of those conversations, is there anything that you would change in terms of the language in the presentation, or the terminology, or the...
Afterwards, no. I might have been hesitant about some of the things in it before, But afterward, I just felt a real connection with the audience. I felt like what I was saying was getting across. I was keeping their attention. They seemed positively influenced by what I had to say. So, like I said, I might have before, but I wouldn't now.
Okay, so I'm going through this. We're third day. We're presenting on the third day.
First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning on the third day. But we've got 2 days of presentations beforehand. Full day. Well, okay, mostly full days of presentations beforehand. One really long day, but 2 days of presentations. So we're listening to presentations. I know going through my head is, I know we all did, but I spent a lot of time agonizing over the language of not really the presentation so much, but the paper and the proposals that we put together. But the presentation too, because the presentation is built off of that paper. And I agonized over the language, and I wanted to make sure that I was very precise in the language that I used, because I didn't want ambiguity. There was no room for ambiguity when doing this. And so I'm listening just for every little tiny thing that could say, especially from the organizers of the conference, I'm listening for every little tiny thing that says, okay, I got something wrong in the language. And I'm looking for that, and I'm constantly looking for that. There's one point where, in a presentation yesterday talking about agency, that they expanded the term of agency.
The two terms, moral agency and moral patience.
Yeah, they expanded on that to beyond what I am aware of, and I'm not going to say is, because it's what I am aware of, is the main definition of these two terms of agency. And I'm like, okay, do I need to incorporate that? Is that going to change any of our message? And I know that we came back to, last night, and we came back and we said, okay, let's just double check and let's do a read through of this presentation again and make sure that our presentation isn't going to necessarily conflict,
embarrass us, right?
Or embarrass us. Yeah, and to be fair, this is a philosophy conference.
Yeah,
nobody cares if you conflict with some ideas, because people are conflicting with ideas all the time. It's kind of the point. You want to conflict, but I also didn't want to be
blatantly contradictory
or blatantly wrong either.
Well, again, it's philosophy. It's hard to be blatantly wrong.
Or blatantly. Oh, I missed that in my research. I looked pretty hard for some of this research. So
no, but honestly, I think we came back, we looked at it, and if anything, what he had to say just complemented what we were saying.
I agree.
There was only one word change.
We changed one word. We changed sentience, which, to be fair, I think I've been uncomfortable with from the beginning. We changed it to consciousness because consciousness specifically has been a word that's been tossed around this time.
Right. Well, okay. So I remember. I know this absolutely was in my head when we were making that change, but literally when we were writing the paper and when we were putting the presentation together, we originally had that as consciousness. We had it as consciousness. We switched it to sentience, specifically because consciousness, when you're talking about the technical term of consciousness, starts to get a little murky and
it is precise,
and can have different interpretations depending upon the field that you're discussing, who you're discussing consciousness to. It gets murky. So we went to sentience, but consciousnness was used quite a bit at the conference, and so we ended up switching it back to consciousness. And I think it was absolutely the right decision.
It sounded so much better coming out of your mouth, Dave. Truly, the consciousness flowed through without any. But Mike, you brought up an interesting point when we were talking a little earlier today, that for all the technical element, the technical language in use, and there was a moment in the presentation of raw emotion, and you were surprised. I think many of us, we were surprised that, Dave, you injected a moment of emotion, true emotion, not a mask of emotion, but true emotion near the end of the presentation, and we heard the audience make a sound.
Yeah, it wasn't just a sound. Literally, I'm sitting here, and okay, let's step back and let's set this up here for just a second. There is a point at the end of this presentation. So Dave, I mean, I'll just share it. This is a line that completely encapsulates your goals, your entire goals for this foundation. It is a single line, and it is a line that you came up with a number of years ago. And this is the first time in a large environment that you've really used that. Although you've used it in some other speeches, but this is the first, I'm going to say, professional time of using it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But every single time that you and I have talked, that you have said this line, maybe, I don't know.
Can you say the line for us?
I mean, I see now you put me on the spot, and I can't remember exactly how it goes.
It's basically that we'll go.
Yeah, I don't want to ad-lib it.
Okay. Either way, it's a line. I mean, to be fair, we will probably put this presentation up on our website so that
that makes sense.
Whether it is just the audio with the slides, or we actually put up the recording, we can probably put up the recording too. But it's basically the ending line of the presentation. Absolutely, the ending line. And every single time that you have said it, you get choked up.
I'm a big softie anyway.
Every time, and I mean, in every single practice session that we've done, in writing it,
I'm misting up just thinking about it. So.
You choke up, and you were really worried about it last night. I know when we were doing our final, or this morning. Sorry,
it was
at 12:30 when we were doing our practice sessions, and.
That it would come across as false or contrived or overwrought.
Or just
concerns.
I know that there's a little bit of concern of, that's not professional because I didn't, I couldn't hold it together or something like that.
It's not philosophical because it's raw emotion and not structured thought, right?
Yeah. Well, every single time you've ever said it, you always break down. And so you were trying really hard to not break down. I know you were, because that you didn't want to. But Toby and I, we've seen you break down on this several times, and we knew that it was going to happen because it was going to happen. But you get to that line and you start to break, and your voice starts to crack a little bit, and you can just feel it, and you just kind of get this and as you're trying to get the words out, and there's just this moment where all fidgeting in the room just kind of stopped. It was just like half a second, and you could literally hear a little bit of it. If you don't get it in the recording, we just ended up watching the recording here just a while ago, and you don't get it in the recording, you don't hear it, but there was an audible gasp in the audience. As it said, it was just a split second. You heard almost like the entire room all took a breath at the same time. It was powerful.
How really validating is that, David?
It's important to me. It's my vision of a potential future.
You emotionally connected with them in a deep way.
Yeah.
And what more could we ask from this experience, to actually have an emotional connection with an audience full of people whose job is not to be emotional in what they do?
Yeah.
I thought it was a capstone for the whole experience.
Yeah. Okay. Philosophers. They talk about emotion. They talk about emotion a lot. They quantify.
They deconstruct.
They quantify emotion all the time. Are they not emotional? I don't know.
They're emotional. I'm sure Toby would have something to say about that, staying behind at the party longer than us.
Yes.
Or the dinner.
Yes, obviously. But their discipline is to be very rigorous and structured, and try and separate the emotional component from the logical or rational structural components. That's part of their discipline. So it was really amazing to see that one moment. And then when Keith Miller came up and spoke to you afterwards, he was visibly moved by the whole presentation that you gave.
By the way, we need to put a full disclaimer here. Keith Miller, in no relation to Dave or Mike Miller whatsoever. There is none. He just happens to be in the larger family of Millers that are all over the world.
Yeah, there were a few Millers there.
There were 6 Millers.
Which, as an aside, for the dinner we had afterwards on that Thursday evening for all the philosophers and all the attendees, there was the Miller table. There were
They assigned all the Millers that went to the dinner to one table because apparently they didn't realize that we weren't all together. So it was just, and then anybody who wasn't a Miller at the dinner table, it's like, nope, you are an honorary Miller tonight. There we go.
All two of them who weren't Millers at the table.
Well, three. There were 3 non-Millers at the table.
No, one non-Miller replaced a Miller because that Miller was
That's
S.
true.
Miller who went to another table because
That's
a grad student asked her to come over and sit down and talk to her. So
that's right. Yes, you're right. So that we were supposed to have another Miller. Yes.
It was. I think it was a bit confounding to the Italian organizers because they didn't realize how common the name was.
It's like trying to say, how many Antonios do you have? But yeah, I mean, Miller is kind of that way, at least in the English-speaking world. But yeah, a lot of Millers. That's fine. It makes great stories. Makes for great stories. So Rome's been here. We've done Rome. I mean,
at least
parts of it.
Bits and pieces.
We've had hot weather, we've had rainy weather, we've had actually last few days have been nice. A little bit of rain and
not too hot.
Not too hot, but then the sun comes out but not enough that I burst into flames because
just damp enough that the mosquitoes were coming out.
Oh. No, it wasn't just the mosquitoes today. The mosquitoes okay. The place that we gave our presentation, it was a school, it was a university, but it's surrounded by swampland. The mosquitoes are thick in this world. I have come away with so many mosquito bites all over for just spending 3 days around this university. But
that's what you Washington people get. Us Florida people are used to mosquitoes. Our blood has stopped being sweet.
I was going to say, you probably don't even have any because they just look at you and say, oh, nope, he's got that protective coating of salt, that just prevents us from attaching.
You are not wrong.
But, it was a good time.
Well,
it was good.
That was it. CEPE 2025.
In the books.
In the books.
And Rome in the books. We're heading out in the morning.
Yeah,
early.
Kinda starting to look forward to the next one.
Oh.
Whenever it is, wherever it is.
2 years.
Well, not just the next CP. I mean,
yeah.
there are other opportunities that have come up that we might be able to go to sooner. We'll see.
Yeah. Some of the contacts that we made were pretty excited about maybe calling us in for another one.
We hope to report live from some other foreign locale.
Record live.
Ooh, record live. I think we'd have to get permission for that, but we might be. Well,
no, I mean literally. We're recording live, right?
Yeah, we are recording live.
That's always been a joke that I've. It's like you and I live on the West Coast, where you don't get anything live on TV. Everything is recorded live.
Yeah.
It's like, well, of course, it's not like you were recorded a recording first.
Well, okay, you could, but that'd be weird. Anyway.
Sorry, it's just always struck me as a little absurd to call something recorded live. I recognize that with like Saturday Night Live, it was recorded in front of a live audience, but if you recorded dead, you weren't going to get a lot.
So, yes.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else? All right.
Nope.
He's shaking his head. No, we don't have video on this podcast.
I know we're in the minority these days. Everybody's doing their video podcast.
Yeah. So, ciao from Rome.
Ciao, bella.
Arrivederci.
Bye, everyone.
Doctor.